Hi, my name is Claudia Skinner, and I will take you through the summary of the thinking chapter 7, in About Behaviorism by B.F. Skinner. Based on the writings by B.F. Skinner, everything about the mind, including thinking, is no more than behaviorism. Meaning that thinking can also be explained through behaviors that are learned and through the interactions in our environment. In chapter 7, Skinner goes through a number of behavioral processes that compose a great part of the field of thinking. And according to Skinner, thinking is a covert behavior, meaning that it's a behavior that cannot be observed by others, only by the person performing it. Covert behaviors can be acted on without committing when we're thinking. So we can think about the action without actually performing the actions. If we believe that thinking is a covert behavior, and covert behavior is almost always acquired through overt behaviors, then thinking can also be acquired through overt behaviors, meaning things that we have experienced in the past, actual behaviors that had responses. According to Skinner, mental and cognitive activities have been invented. So these are not things that actually exist. We attend to stimuli or ignore it without changing a physical condition. But what determines whether we attend to it or we ignore it is the process of discrimination. And the process of discrimination is based on our past experiences. So we will attend or ignore based on what we have done in the past. Skinner then takes us through various cognitive processes, and he explains them in behavioral terms. So we start with search and recall. So to search for something, what we do is we act in ways we have done before when we were looking for something and it turned up. So for example, if I'm looking for my keys, I'm gonna go and look for them in places that I have looked for them before and I have found them. We use our past experiences to determine how we search in the past, and again, what we experienced before will guide us on how we will go about searching in our current actions. Based on Skinner, we do not store information. So when we're talking about recall, we don't store information, therefore we cannot recall it. Future stimuli is affected by how they resemble previous stimuli, meaning when you recall is based on a stimulant, and how we search is based on the probability of previous responses. Sorry. The next cognitive process that Skinner talks about is problem solving. Sorry. A problem that is encountered when a person is presented with reinforcing condition, but the person does not know how to respond to it. So we encounter a problem when we really do not know, we have not experienced that particular situation, so therefore we don't know how to respond to it. Then problem solving is taking the steps to make a response that is more probable, and usually by changing the environment. So we change things in our environment to figure out the steps to make a response more probable. Problem solving is acquired via overt processes, so meaning our past experience and behaviors will determine the choices we make and how we solve the problem. We decide the path that we will take by either how it strengthens or weakens our response. So again, using our previous experiences, what we have done in the past, we would choose a particular path to resolve a particular problem, all based on behaviors that we had already acquired or experienced. Creative behavior is an interesting one. Creative behavior based on Skinner is basically happy accidents. So it's accident variations in behavior that that had a reinforcing consequence. So he talks about how a painter trying new colors is just basically an accident, and then the painting being something that we liked is an accident, and now it's a reinforced consequence. So a person that is creative and have used certain creative or certain colors before will likely to be using the same colors because the consequence was reinforcing. The last kind of process that Skinner talks about in this chapter is structure of the mind. And so this was a little tough for me to understand. So it's the contingency of reinforcements that are generated in our everyday life. The way that I understood it is that basically we learn by the many attempts to behave a certain way, and then the reinforcements of that behavior. So we have tried to get up multiple times, or we have tried to walk multiple times, and really the number of attempts and the reinforcement of that behavior, meaning if we're able to move, then we are basically learning to walk. Then lastly, really is the summary, which is the thinking mind. And Skinner's view is that human thought is human behavior, and thinking has the dimension of behavior. So human thought is what people have said and done, and the likelihood of that person to respond to a particular event, scenario, or circumstance is based on their past experiences. So now that summarized the chapter, I would like to pose my question. So Skinner talks about thinking and the mind in a series of responses to conditions in the environment. So there's really nothing internal, nothing that we do that cannot be replicated. The human thought is what a person has said and done, and therefore it can be predicted on how we will behave. If we take the concept of the chapters about thinking, what do you think Skinner's view on machine learning and artificial intelligence will be if he was alive today? What will he think about where we will be with self-driving cars, and again with machine learning and robots that could act as humans, based on his theories about thinking and the mind? I look forward to reading their responses and having a healthy discussion. Thank you so much for your time.